I've as RB1. We know it's possible.
Ladies and gentlemen, Fourth and Trollers, welcome back to Fourth and Troll Fantasy, the most entertaining fantasy football podcast on the planet. My name is Noah Selby.
And I'm Noah's cousin.
And I'm Wes's cousin.
Mm-hmm.
Anymore?
No, I mean, that's not incorrect.
Family tree.
That's 100% true. Family tree? Yeah.
We just
Our fathers are brothers. There it is.
Correct.
That's how we're related.
There you go. 23andMe. Well, welcome back. We're here with another fun episode for you. It's top 10 running backs episode. We're hyped. It's going to be a great time. Before we jump into it, check out everything in the description below. We got a Discord community. We're giving away a signed James Cook jersey this season, and we got some exclusive merch going out. That's all linked below. You can find that also in our Patreon, patreon.com/4thandtrollfantasy. Check out our spread shop. We got some merch available for you guys. Listen, we tried to do a giveaway, and no one commented except for one dude who told me that my Garrett Wilson stat was wrong. So shout out to that dude. He's getting merch.
Yeah,
This dude's getting merch because he called us out for being like, hey, actually, it's actually the 10th highest targeted player in the first 2 years of their career, just so you know. And I was like, oh, damn, roasted.
Cool.
Here's a hat. Cool. See ya.
Here's a hat.
Yeah, anyway, listen, but engage with us, guys. We want to give you cool shit. So yeah.
Please.
Let's have fun. Let's have a good time. Top 10 running backs. Before we do it, Wes, we got some news we need to talk about real quick because it's that time of year. Things are happening.
It is.
So hit us with the news.
Big important news are rolling in every single week, I think. And so we're going to start out with obviously the biggest piece of news. J.J. McCarthy is out for the season with a meniscus tear. Obviously, Sam Darnold was expected to start for the first few weeks, but he'll be the starter for the foreseeable future, if not the entire season for the Vikings. I'll just say I think Justin Jefferson sneaks into my top 10 with that news. We just did our wide receiver rankings. I think he's probably going to be in that range. Big reason was rookie quarterback was not going to help Jefferson, but now that's changed. So it's too late.
It's a neutral to vaguely positive shift, but it's like,
yes,
at the end of the day, we'll see what happens. But yeah,
we will see what happens. Anyway,
positive.
Speaking of quarterbacks, Gardner Minshew was officially named the Raiders' starting quarterback. And back to Minnesota, Jordan Addison suffered an ankle injury. And although it's not considered serious, it's still something to monitor as we are very close to week 1. Jahmyr Gibbs, the guy that is on Noah's shirt right now, which is now 2 weeks in a row of wearing a player related to the top 10 of our rankings. Pretty sweet. Jahmyr Gibbs suffered a hamstring injury on Tuesday last week. It's not considered serious also, but the Lions said they're going to be very cautious about his preseason for the rest of it. The Giants running back, Tyrone Tracy Jr., someone we said to keep an eye out for, don't, because now he has a low ankle sprain and it's week to week while he's wearing a boot to heal. Matthew Stafford is dealing with a hamstring tightness as well. It's hamstring season, baby. Yikes. He did return to practice this week, but doesn't seem there are any major setbacks. Seems like it's going to be okay, but obviously something to monitor with a lot of upside for the Rams wide receivers in the top 10. Jaylen Warren, the split backfield for the Pittsburgh Steelers, suffered a hamstring injury in preseason. He's going to miss the rest of preseason. He could miss week 1, leaving the backfield alone to Najee Harris, unless Arthur Smith wants to pull some shit and Cordell Patterson is RB1 on the week. We'll see whatever happens there. Curtis Samuel suffered some turf toe in his week to week. He plays for the Bills, if anyone forgot. And last but not least, Justin Herbert returned to practice in pads on Monday for the first time since being diagnosed with plantar fascia. Might be okay for week 1. That's it. Top 10 running backs for 2024. And I'm so excited because this is going to be probably I think we're going to be locked in. I think we're going to agree some of these players are overhyped and underappreciated for the top 10.
Absolutely. Listen, if you missed the wide receivers episode, some very bold calls in that one there. We definitely made some calls that were out there, and it's a fun one. Go back and check that one out if you have not seen it yet, it's definitely got some good info for you. This one, I expect us to be, yeah, like you said, Wes, more in sync. Bye. It's going to be a fun time. Let's just start it out. We're not going to waste any more time. We'll start it out. We're going to go back and forth 10-10, 9-9, all the way down until we give you our top running back for the 2024 fantasy football season. And we do not know each other's lists. This is always a surprise when it comes to our positional top 10s episodes. And it's going to be a fun one. So here we go. My running back 10 for the 2024 fantasy football season. We love him. He's a beauty, and he is a PPR machine. It is Rachaad White is my RB10 for the 2024 season. Listen, RB4 last year, and as I said, PPR is his game. Caught 64 of 70 targets from Baker Mayfield last season. That is a beautiful thing in fantasy football. Henceforth, his RB4 finish. He was a top 5 running back in receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns. And he was 5th amongst all running backs in red zone receptions, yet he scored no receiving touchdowns in the red zone. That is a key piece here for me, I believe, is going to, if that can shift a little bit, it'll definitely be good for him this season. Here's my only knock and why he is at 10 and not a little higher for me. I was digging in and doing some more data, and his strength of schedule this season is tough. It is tough, man. 8 of his first 10 opponents are top 12 defenses against fantasy running backs. But here's the caveat. 5 of his last 6 opponents are bottom 12 defenses against fantasy running backs. Down the stretch, when you need those clutch performances from your fantasy players, how about championship weekend against the Carolina Panthers? How's that sound? Oh, man, what a beauty that's going to be. So Rachaad White, like him a lot, had him a little higher earlier in the offseason, cooled on him a little bit, but he still makes my top 10, my RB10 for the 2024 season.
Yeah, I've been drooling over him all offseason. So he's no one's surprise in my top 10, and I will talk about him later because he's definitely not just 10th for me.
Absolutely.
But you shared some stats.
Would be short. I knew your response would be short, so I was like, he's going to talk about him later here.
Yeah, you shared stats that I'm going to also use as the hopeful. It's more because I'll just kind of briefly say, like, everything you said, I think there's reason to think it can be even better, but I'm glad to know we're both a consensus top 10.
Yeah, absolutely. Still an easy RB1 in my eyes as well. So Rachaad White's a fun guy. Number 10, Wes.
Yes. Okay. I had a toss-up between 3 different running backs, and I decided to land on this guy, and the other ones are not in my top 10. Number 10 for me is Isiah Pacheco. Everything's looking really good out of the Chiefs training camp. And the biggest report is that this is by far the best receiving core Pacheco has ever had in his offense. He never played with Tyreek. He was drafted in 2022. So with Pacheco there, and now Marquise Brown and Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy, and of course Travis Kelce, the defense has to respect the receivers. They're of course respecting Mahomes always, but now they respect the receivers. It pushes them back just that much more, and that everything out of camp is saying that he's seen even more space between the tackles, more space beyond the line of scrimmage. It was a toss-up for me between Derrick Henry and Jonathan Taylor, who are not in my top 10. And if you were to tell me, hey, I'm from the future, Wes, Jonathan Taylor and Derrick Henry are both top 10, I'd be like, okay, sure. Okay, fine. But the reason I chose Pacheco is, one, he's younger, he's proven that he's healthy, and he's got a better quarterback situation for fantasy purposes because Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, rushing upside for those quarterbacks and takeaway opportunities. And there's arguments here and there for what you want to believe about Henry and Jonathan Taylor, but for me, I think they're out. I've got Pacheco as number 10.
I really like Isiah Pacheco. I'm with you, Wes. I've got Derrick Henry outside my top 10. I've got Jonathan Taylor in it. I'll talk about him in just a sec. We'll see here.
Cool.
Derrick Henry is my RB11. He's just outside, but
mine too.
He played. He was in and out. It's just the age, and potentially the fact that John Harbaugh was like, yeah, Justice Hill's a starting running back for this team, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
Huh? What are we talking about? But I really like Isiah Pacheco this season. So much so that he's my running back 9. He is my running
How
back
about
9
that?
for the 2024 fantasy season. Just one spot ahead of you. Yeah, absolute workhorse. No Jerick McKinnon. 8 top 15 weeks in his 13 games played last season. Here's a little stat for you guys. Last season was the worst season in points scored for the Chiefs offense since Patrick Mahomes took over by like 100 points. It was
Oh,
the
gosh.
worst season they've had. It was an outlier season, and Pacheco was still awesome. He's set up to be the every down back. Andy Reid was asked, we don't have McKinnon here in the camp, coach. Who's set up to take over that receiving role, that third down role, and he's been on record saying Isaiah's ready to take on that workload and take on that role. 49 targets in 2023. He was scoring 19 and a half points per game after the week 10 bye last season. Really, really like Isiah Pacheco, and it's hard to not enjoy the offense that has Patrick Mahomes and all those weapons on it, as you've said. So he's my RB9, and just fun to watch that dude run, to be honest. He runs like a cartoon character.
Yeah, he's like a powerful guy. I mean, especially in playoffs too. It's like playoff Lenny when the way Leonard Fournette was dominating. And Pacheco's that guy. I mean, was one of the best reasons that the Chiefs won back-to-back Super Bowls, truly. Yeah. So I like him.
Absolutely.
It's just PPR. We'll see exactly just how much he gets. But
100%.
Speaking of PPR, here's my running back 9. Hey, you know who was third in points per game in running backs for PPR? It was Alvin Kamara. My running back 9. PPR, man. If you're not in PPR, leave it alone. Leave it alone. But man, I'm bought in. This guy is still clearly the best running back for the Saints, or not running back, best offensive player for the Saints. He's best running back too. And as much as that franchise wants Chris Olave to be this superstar, Derek Carr is not helping, to say the least. He's still throwing to Kamara a lot. Kamara still saw about like 80 targets. It's still insane. Third in points per game, still just about top 10, despite missing the first 4 games due to the suspension. I like him. I would put him higher, but obviously his age is a concern, and the wheels are going to fall off at some time. He started out so good when he came back from suspension, and then it kind of slowly declined to kind of just this slow descent into kind of a mediocre range. But I think in the end, with a full 17 games, Kamara can finish as top 10 with PPR. So I've got him as 9th on my list.
He's absolutely a PPR machine. He his first game back after suspension, 14 targets, 13 receptions.
So fake.
For 33 yards. 13 catches for 33 yards was just so... And he like won people weeks on 33 receiving yards and 13 catches. Absolutely ridiculous. He doesn't make my top 10 this season. I'll break the news. He's just outside. Got him as my RB 13. I hate it because the reason I think this is going to happen is because that dumb idiot Taysom Hill is somehow going to be more involved in this offense, is what it sounds like. So that's my only thing there. But the PPR value is great, and he's a great value. There is going in drafts as well.
Fantastic value.
Really, really
End of the 4th, early 5th round. If you really end up needing to just change your draft pick, and you're like, you know what, suddenly this wide receiver fell to me, and I had no idea he was going to be here. Great, you get him. You end up with Kamara. I think you're in a really good spot, especially in some potential weeks. But he's not that high in my top 10, but I think with a PPR upside, if you're not in PPR, forget it.
Yeah, it's tough goings for Alvin Kamara as far as the rushing game as of late in his career. So definitely a PPR asset for sure. My running back 8, we mentioned him already. It's Jonathan Taylor, and I went back and forth on this, and I had him a little bit lower. I had him a little bit higher in my top 10. He was hovering around my RB6 spot for a little bit, and then I had to think back on what I talked about last season when Anthony Richardson came into the league, and I was out on Jonathan Taylor because the ceiling and the usage of running backs who have mobile quarterbacks as their guy on their team, it's not good. It's not a good look for those guys. Here's where I came back around to it. Shane Steichen is gonna feed this dude, man. And when he was back as a full-fledged starter after coming back from the contract and then a little bit of the injury, he was averaging 21 opportunities per game. He's 2 seasons removed, and this is maybe a ESPN stat if you guys know what I'm talking about here. A little bit ticky tacky, but he's 2 seasons removed from back-to-back top 6 running back seasons, and he did not play full seasons the last 2 years. So whether it was contract related or injury related, but his first 2 years of his career, he's going into year 5 now, and he's back-to-back top 6 running back seasons, including the RB1 in 2021. Here's what I just held on to as well. In the 5 games that Zach Moss was the lead running back for Indianapolis last year before Taylor returned, 4 of which were with Anthony Richardson in some regard, not full games, obviously, 2 full games, 2 partial games because of the injuries for Richardson. Zach Moss was averaging 19.3 fantasy points per game. It's a good look. I like that. And I like how Steichen uses his running backs. That's a 17-game pace of 328 points. He would have been the RB2 if that was how he ran with things. Wow. Small sample, a little bit of a stretch. But it just goes to show what a running back can do in the offense. He's very talented. I'm not personally going for him. I'm a little lower than consensus, but I do think he's a very strong running back, and I think it won't surprise me at all if he finishes here RB8 or even higher. He's definitely a very talented guy, and he's shown he can do it before. So, just a little bit capped on the ceiling with Richardson as his quarterback. So that's where he's at with me for RB8 this season.
You make a convincing case. He's obviously everyone thinks he's great. I think he's great. It's just trying to figure out what this offense looks like with Richardson. For however many games we get with Richardson as well, because that may just change everything. And all of a sudden, Richardson only played 4 games. It's like, well,
dude, can you
Jonathan Taylor was RB3.
Flacco's the quarterback again. Just handing off to Jonathan Taylor the whole time, getting him on the dump offs. Oh man, that'd be interesting. That'd be
special.
RB8, Wes.
RB8. We've already had arguments about him, so let's just cut to the chase. My RB8 is Josh Jacobs. I got it in my top 10.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And after everything we've debated about, because we had our debate episode and we got heated a little bit, after all that, he's just 8th on my list. Now, a couple of reasons why he's where he is, because this offense loves him. The offense wants to use him. Josh Jacobs is impressing Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur. And he is begging to be part of the PPR game. He wants his first receiving touchdown. The reason I don't think it's going to be that high is because this is still a passing offense. Not that it's a bad thing, but that has never been what Josh Jacobs has done. And obviously when the Packers are looking at who Josh Jacobs is, they see this rushing guy. They see a guy who has a 1,500 yard upside, which is tremendous. But here we are looking at PPR stats, and I think he does have a very limited ceiling, but I think he's going to be one of the top 5 rushing, have the top 5 rushing yards in the NFL. Things are looking good for him with Green Bay. And to be honest, we don't actually know what a Jordan Love Packers offense looks like with a rushing attack, because Aaron Jones was hurt too much. He played too inconsistently. Now, I mean, reports out of Minnesota say that Aaron Jones looks incredible. And if he's healthy, I don't know, Aaron Jones could end up being top 10. I have no idea. Probably not. But here's the idea. We don't actually know what a strong running back looks like for Green Bay with Jordan Love. So we'll find out. I think he's going to be just about top 10, pretty well solidified in, but the PPR is why he's not going to be too high. And that is really where the rest of my guys are, why they're 7th and up, is because of this PPR volume. So 8th, Josh Jacobs.
If you guys want to go back and check out that debate episode, we did. We got a little heated, talked a little bit about this Packers backfield. One of my big proponents was the involvement of Marshawn Lloyd, and man, my guy cannot seem to stay healthy and cannot. It's hamstring season, dude, because the dude cannot
really bad.
Stay healthy. Had an injury in camp, got injured in the preseason game. So when the competition, in my eyes, is just going to end up being AJ Dillon, maybe Lloyd comes on later towards the end of this season for a little more involvement. But I'll let you know, Wes. You did a good enough job and convinced me enough, along with the Lloyd injury. And Josh Jacobs is higher on my list than Ramondre Stevenson. There you go. There's
that's something.
We got there. I've got 16 guys ahead of Josh Jacobs. He's my RB 17, but he made it into my top 20. We'll see how things go this season. It'll be a fun one for sure. We'll see if he can get some juice back. Love it. RB 7. Oh man, I wanted to put this guy higher and I couldn't, and I wrestled with it a lot, and I had him higher this season, but I've landed where I've landed at RB 7. And that is Saquon Barkley, new member of the Philadelphia Eagles. He is my RB 7 this season. Massive offense upgrade, massive O-line upgrade. There's a tush push. He won't score touchdowns. DeAndre Swift was 8th in the NFL in carries inside the 5-yard line last season. He had 14 carries inside the 5-yard line, and he only scored 4 touchdowns. You're telling me Saquon Barkley couldn't double that? Even triple it, perhaps? Dude, it's gonna be delicious to be a Saquon Barkley owner this season for fantasy football. Here's the thing, his receiving work is going to go down a little bit. The Eagles' RB1 over the last 3 years averages around 40 targets each season with Jalen Hurts. Saquon's seen about 60 targets each of the last 3 seasons on average. So the receiving work's going to go down. Touchdowns should go up. Listen, this is just a much better offense. They'll have more opportunities to score. Dude, DeAndre Swift. It was DeAndre Swift, you guys, who's on his 3rd team in 3 years, who can't keep a job. He had 14 carries inside the 5-yard line. Inside the 5. And he only converted 4 of them. Like, Saquon can absolutely do more of that. He's going to be great. He's the O-line. Dude, this guy with a good offensive line. Like, imagine. Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. On a full healthy season, his worst finish in fantasy football is the RB6 on a full season. I got him as my RB7 here. It's going to be good times for Saquon Barkley at my RB7 spot this season.
I have him as RB6. I'm one spot above you. We're both in consensus. It's going to be a really solid year. And I'll just kind of jump a little bit on the gun and just talk about Barkley here as my running back 6, even though we're talking about our 7th one. Age, injury history, and tush push. I think that's what keeps him out of the top 5. But I also know that this is by far the best offense in every single position that he's ever played with. Yeah. And he played with Odell Beckham Jr. AJ Brown, I think, is better right now than OBJ was when Barkley was drafted in 2018 or something like that. Mm-hmm. I think this is great. And I think this is going to be awesome. But it is the age and injury, and I do expect him to miss maybe like 3 games. And I'm prepared for that. And I think if you draft him, you're going to be quite happy. And probably the most important thing for me, no offense, Giants fans, but he looks so good in that Eagles uniform.
So
he
good,
looks
bro.
so cool. Oh my gosh.
So hot.
He's got to be in my top 10. Huh? What? Kiss? Anyway, so he's running back 6 for me, 7th for you. Yeah. Loving it. Oh, so I should do my RB7 then.
Yeah, go if you want to. Whatever you want to do,
though. He's right there on your chest, on your shirt. I've got Jahmyr Gibbs as RB7. There's a lot of reason to think he could be top 5, and I understand. And I know that for sure he's top 10, but the hamstring injury did make me react a little impulsively, but then I kind of dialed it back. But he was RB6 before the injury. To be honest, he was RB6. So this isn't like a huge change for me. The biggest reason I don't think he gets top 5 is because I don't think he's going to have enough targets. I don't believe enough targets to be that top 5 guy, because he, coming out of Alabama, was an Alvin Kamara prototype. Like, he was the yards after catch receiving back, which is why you and I were kind of out on him during the draft. We said there's no team that needs a running back that's going to use him the way he should be. And then the Lions drafted him. And we're like, what? And then you and I were like, he's top 10. He's top 10. Okay, never mind. We did not see it. And that's how the Lions are using him. It's why he's going to be top 10. But with Amon-Ra St. Brown, despite how I feel about him for the season, and Sam Laporta, and Jameson Williams, I don't think he will quite see as many targets. Plus, there's David Montgomery. It's kind of a mix that I just think his top 5 ceiling is capped, but overall, absolutely worth that early second round pick. Very good draft pick, actually, I believe.
Very fair. We'll get to him in just a little bit. I'll give more comments then.
I thought so.
He's a fun guy. He's a fun guy to talk about. I'll jump to my RB6. You already mentioned yours is Saquon Barkley. We discussed him a little bit. My RB6 for the 2024 fantasy football season, run it back, baby. It's Kyren Williams. RB7 last year in 12 games played. And here's the thing. Everyone's like, well there's no way he can do all that. Again, he can't score that many touchdowns again. Okay, so if he doesn't score that many touchdowns, you tell me he's not going to make up for it in 5 additional games? That's what we're gonna try and discuss here. He can make up those points with 5 more added games. McVay has always been a one running back guy. For anyone who wants to say that Kyren Williams is about to get dethroned by Blake Corum, you're out of your mind. You are out of your mind.
Chose so many profanities to not say.
I chose to not say many words and instead say fewer words, as how that goes. You're out of your mind. Blake Corum is the backup. Here's the thing. Kyren Williams, in 7 of his 11 games as the starter this season, because Cam Akers existed in week 1 at one point, 7 of his 11 games starting, he played over 90% of snaps. That's absurd. Christian McCaffrey only got 4 times in his 16 games. Like, even the biggest and best guys don't work them like that. You don't play them like that. Todd Gurley wasn't running like that. There was variety. Malcolm Brown existed in that offense with McVay in that Rams scheme. Corum is not a threat to ruin Kyren Williams. He is just a give the dude a break. Instead of playing 90 and 98 and 100, literally the Monday Night Football game against the Cincinnati Bengals, Kyren Williams played every single snap. That does not happen. That's not a thing. It's just going to be here's the relief. Kyren, you good? Here, Blake, go take a couple plays on this drive. Blake, go take a drive. Like, go do your thing. Like he is a serviceable guy. He is about 70 to 75% of what Kyren Williams is. It's just not. Anyone who's worried about that, get it out of your mind. It's not going to be the case. It's not going to happen. Kyren Williams is the guy. He's my RB6 this season.
Everything you say is right. Blake Corum is no threat to Kyren Williams. The volume is going to remain the same. He's going to be amazing. The only threat is his injury history.
Sure.
And I'm the one that's too scared of that to put him in my top 10. He's not in my top 10 because I really am worried about his injury history that much. He's had a rookie season, high ankle sprain, missed almost half of his rookie season. Next year, high ankle sprain on the same foot, and then misses 5 games. And then this OTA, he re-aggravates that same ankle, and he's fine right now, but I am too worried about his injury history and his injury proneness to put him in my top 10. But do I think he's worth drafting? Yeah. I'm just scared, and I think you get someone else. And if you get Kyren Williams and, I mean, not to spoil other players, but let's say McCaffrey. If you had Kyren Williams and Christian McCaffrey, yeah, I think you're going to be just fine.
Yeah,
but
you'll be all right.
I'm the one that's too worried about his injury.
Wow.
And so I can't put him in my top 10. I think he'll miss 2 games.
Interesting. Scary money don't make money. All right, here we go. That's my motto this season.
Let's go, boy.
I can't worry myself about potential injuries. I did it 3 years ago with Christian McCaffrey, or 2 years ago, whatever it was, when he hurt 2 years in a row, and then it was the next one back, and it was like, dude, I can't do McCaffrey. He's going to get hurt again. And then he scored like 400 fantasy points. And I was like, damn it. I was like, what did I do? Like, it was just so frustrating. So I get it. I do. But, man, if Kyren, I believe I'm going to project he's going to stay healthy. It's obviously always a concern. It could, but he's going to be special. We both have no doubt about that. So you covered your RB6, Wes.
I did. let's go over to
Does
our
that mean
top
I just
five.
jumped to 5?
Let's do top 5. Let's get this going.
We're here, dude. Top 5. We made it. This is the big boys, the big guns. Here we go. This is how we play. This is how we do things. This is how you win fantasy leagues.
Yes.
My RB5 for the 2024 fantasy football season. It's the man with unlimited upside. It's Devon Achane. He is my RB5 going into the 2024 year. Here's the argument for Devon Achane. He's not going to get enough opportunities. Okay, we watched last season. He's the only running back in the NFL that can be elite on like 12 touches a game, like 12 opportunities. Like that, he can touch the ball 12 times in a game and be elite. Well, no, he can't. That's just no way. Okay, here, let's talk. Let's do some math. Let's look at some numbers. Week 3.
Get him.
Week 3. 70 points on the Broncos. 70 points on the Broncos. Well, but it was a blowout. He was playing garbage time. Okay, let's look at his first 12 touches. You want to do that? Let's do his first 12 touches of that game. Is 25 fantasy points good for you on his first 12 touches of that game? I went and looked at it. I looked at the drive log and counted it out. His first 12 touches of that game, 25 fantasy points. Well, but that's just one time. Oh, okay, you want to know what he did on his next 10 touches of that game? 26.3 fantasy points. Even more fantasy points on 2 fewer touches. RB1 RB1 on the week, by the way. That for week 3. What about the next week? Week 4. What do you have in that game? 11 touches. Oh, he was the RB4 with 27 fantasy points. Cool, sounds good. Okay, what about week 5? What about week 5? There's no way he keep doing that, right? Yeah, week 5, he was the RB4 on the week with 21.5 fantasy points on 12 touches. Grow up if you think Devon Achane can't be a top 5 running back this season. Grow up. Scared money don't make money. Draft Devon Achane. He is worthy. I said at the beginning of this offseason I wouldn't take him as my RB1. I don't give a shit anymore, dude. I would take him as my RB1. He has top 5 and to the moon upside. Well, what opportunities? Guess what? He averaged 15.1 opportunities last year. It's Raheem Mostert's backfield. Raheem Mostert averaged 16.1. One more opportunity. That's it. That's all he did. There's some sort of disproportional thought process that people think that, if you're a split backfield, you can't be good. He can't be elite. Dude had one more touch per game than him. Grow up. Like, Devon Achane is going to be a top 5 running back this season, and you're going to cry about it that you didn't draft him. And guess what? I'm going to win a league because of that. So guess what? Draft him. You think Mostert's scoring 21 touchdowns again? That's not going to even out a little bit? Grow up, dude. Devon Achane's a top 5 running back. Book it on my ass, bro.
Let's go! Yes! Oh, that was awesome. Yes, he's top 5. He's higher. He's higher on my list. I'll just let you know.
All right.
But I'll just let the trollers know. Like, I'm going to repeat some of this too. I'm going to repeat some of this information, but fired up about Achane. Oh, that was awesome. That was so awesome to listen to. Thank you for doing that.
Absolutely, dude.
Gonna simmer down a little bit, but I'll be talking about Achane in time eventually.
Let's go.
I've got Rachaad White as my 5th running back on the season. That's where I got this guy. I'm bought in. You've heard plenty of what I think about Rachaad White. Here's the big separator between being in the top 10 and being top 5. How many targets will he see? That's the big question. That's the big question, because he had, as you mentioned, Noah, he saw 70 targets. If he's going to be elite, if he's going to be that top 3 upside, he needs 90 targets. Can he see 20 more targets than last season? Truthfully, the answer is maybe. Probably not, but maybe. Because McCaffrey saw 100 targets last season. Eckler in his prime, 190 targets. Kamara, that's the deal. That's how, if you want a top 3 running back, that's what you're looking for. And you say, well, McCaffrey has to get the football because he's so great. Well, I mean, freaking last year played with Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel and George Kittle. Like, he got 100 targets. Like, if the guy's the guy, they're going to throw to him. And he proved last year he is great in the receiving game. The big reason I've got him top 5 and not just in my top 10 is because he damn near had 100 rushing yards. on top of all of that PPR volume. And if he can get in the end zone in the receiving game as well, that's where he's going to be. Top 5. I'm loving it. I'm really walking out with him in every single draft. And I'm not afraid to reach, especially because the running backs just deplete. Like the running back cliff gets quick once you get into the second round. So Rachaad White, I'm walking out of every draft with him.
He's loving it.
I'm loving it.
That's how it goes. That's how that goes. Rachaad White, we both think he's going to be great. He's a great PPR asset. Big fan. Love him. Top 5 West, top 10 me. It's going to be fun, and he's worth having on your team, and he's a great value. Draft him. Absolutely draft him.
Yes, please.
Disappointed that I play and pick near you in a couple of our leagues, actually, because
means
that I'm not going to get him. But
probably not.
It is what it is. My RB4. Let's jump in, go a little deeper here. I'm repping him. It's Jahmyr Gibbs. I've got him at 4 for this season. He was the RB3 last season from week 7 on. The 3rd highest fantasy points per touch for a rookie ever. That is important because you know what it was, Wes? We had a TikTok go a little bit viral at the beginning of the season last year when everyone was high on Jahmyr Gibbs and we didn't understand the lack of usage and what was going on.
Right.
We tweeted out and looked at, okay, what were his points per touch in that game? And he was like 3rd or 4th over the last 6 or 7 years of notable rookie running backs who finished well, what their points per touch were in their debut. And he was 3rd on that list. And he was the 3rd highest fantasy points per touch for a rookie ever to end the season. Everyone was like, oh, good thing my league scores points per touch. And I was like, all right, hold on then, whatever, do whatever you want to do. Listen, he's going to be fantastic. Very, very good. Very, very good player. Very worthy of his draft pick. He had more opportunities inside the 10-yard line than his own teammate, David Montgomery, over the final 8 weeks of the season. I think a lot of people look at Monty and go, he's that, inside the red zone guy. He's that inside the 10 guy. Gibbs was being used more than he was and getting more opportunities than he was the last 8 weeks of the season. He was a top 3 weekly running back on 5 different occasions. Hear me when I say this. This is a great player. All of it as a rookie is very important to look at. Only good things to go from there. He's not any higher for me, and he was almost flip-flopped with HN for me because of the hamstring injury. I don't know if Dan Campbell's throwing up smoke screens or what. We're hearing that he should be fine, but I believe it'll be a bit of a slow start here for Gibbs. But he's still an easy top 5 guy for me, just based off utilization and talent. And I've got him as my RB4 this season. Really, really, really like Jahmyr Gibbs.
I believe it. I understand. It's true that the Lions are very outspoken that they want him to be like the guy. Like they want him to be a very feature part of this offense, which is saying a lot after the pass catchers between Amon-Ra and Sam Laporta. But that's the upside. He can be borderline top 3. I understand. I'm a little more cautious because of just how many more targets. I don't think he's going to get enough targets to be top 5. But if you're going to draft him as if you're at the end of the first round and you're like, I don't see any running backs I like. They all got taken in the first 7 picks. Jahmyr Gibbs is my first round pick. That's what I would do too, probably. Yeah. Because I want to have a good running back. Sure. So I totally understand. Somewhere in the range, probably going to finish. He might even be top 5. I maybe just be a little too low on him because I don't know how his targets share is going to look. But
that's fair.
Yeah.
The hamstring's concerning for sure. Dude, remember earlier in the offseason when I was like, dude, what? David Montgomery is going to be so involved. I would draft David Montgomery over Kenneth Walker. And I was like, you're like, what? And I was like, dude, okay. Piss off, man. I was like, whatever. What the hell was I talking about? What was I talking about?
Time has passed. We've had a lot of time to think about it.
Monty was not very good over the last half of the season. That was tough last year. He had such a good start. Dude, that Packers game. Or was it against the Bears? Whatever one it was.
Well,
right?
Against
it was
the
goal line
Chiefs,
touchdown, goal line touchdown, goal line touchdown, goal line touchdown. It was like it was some sort of revenge game. I think it was against the Bears. It was some sort of revenge game for him where Gibbs could not get the ball. And it was just dog, Campbell, use your guy. Anyway.
Yeah. All
Draft
righty.
him, Gibbs.
I think
Top
so. I
3,
agree.
dude. Oh, wait, no. Sorry.
4. Top 4.
Sorry.
Here we go.
I went first. Yeah, you go. RB4.
Yeah, RB4. Okay. I have Christian McCaffrey as RB4, and it's not as hot as it may sound. Okay, I'm not doing this.
No. I get it. You're right. It's not as hot as it sounds, but I get it.
It's not. I'm not doing it just for clicks. I'm not doing it just for controversy. If you have the first pick overall, you draft Christian McCaffrey, and he finishes RB4, you're not like that mad. You're not that mad. You like it to be like RB2. That'd be pretty great. Of course, RB1, but a couple reasons. I don't think he's going to be, maybe not even top 3. First of all, honestly, where the hell is Trent Williams? I'm not kidding. That is one of the biggest reasons I'm worried right now for his overall finish and how things are going to look. If you want to go back last season, how he did against the Cleveland Browns when Trent Williams got hurt, 14
Very good
points.
Defense, but
very
also
good defense.
But
14
Trent
points.
Williams, very true. Yeah.
And then Trent Williams was gone the next week against the Vikings and 22 points. Really great. Okay. But you get the idea. I know you can say 22 points is amazing, but that was the third worst because the other ones were without Trent Williams. The worst stretch of McCaffrey's time was without Trent Williams. And that's honestly, I think, the most valuable player on that 49ers offense. He's holding out. Everyone's talking about Ayuk, but there's no Trent Williams. And if you can't block, Purdy can't throw. So that's a thing. And that's where McCaffrey's...
Real quick, by the way, just to throw that one out there. Brock Purdy's...
Which one?
Brody?
Yeah.
Brody's the new nickname for Brock Purdy.
Brody. So Brody can't throw, and that's part of McCaffrey's value. So there's that. Then there's his age. Let's just be real. He's another year older. He's 29. Then there's his injury history. Let's just admit that. That's always a concern. You just talked about it. And right now, he's got a calf strain, okay? Things are not looking really great for RB1 for McCaffrey. And then you throw in just historically, these guys don't do it back-to-back seasons. So I kind of mix it all together. And if I were to say, if I'm from the future and I say, hey, before you draft McCaffrey first overall, he's going to finish RB4, you'd be like, oh, okay. Can I know who the top 3 are, though?
Sure.
Yeah, I'll tell you. I'll tell you here who the top 3 will be.
All right. Fair enough, dude. You make fine points. You do. I promise. And it's, again, you're right. It's not as spicy as it probably does sound. Those RB1s tend to not repeat. Well, I'll talk a little bit, but I'm fine with it. I'm not outraged. If you were not gonna be in the top 10, I'd be like, well,
that'd be stupid.
Have fun in prison. So I mean, that'd be kind of where honestly. I was at on that. But it's not terrible. It's not as bad as it probably sounds. All right, top 3. We're here. We made it. Okay. Let's talk about him. I'm excited. It's a guy that I really, really like, that I really think is gonna be really special this season. Second-year running back out of Atlanta, Bijan Robinson is my RB3 this season. Wildly high praise all offseason from a staff who just coached Kyren Williams to an RB7 finish in 12 games. He's a phenomenal pass catcher. Kirk Cousins' offenses over the past 5 years average 88 targets to the running back. That is what he had last year, even in the Arthur Smith offense. However, they will just be better targets because it's not Desmond Ridder or Taylor Heineke. Congratulations. There you go. Here's my big thing with him. He's still the same guy we were all clamoring over last year as a rookie. He's still the same guy. He's even more exciting. He's another year into the league, more experienced. I feel like we're a little too let down by Bijan last year because of the expectation. He was still a top 10 running back. He was still top 10. He was RB9. And it was oh, but we wanted you to be RB3. Well, he's going to be this year. Draft him. He's going to be that good. Here's my other last point. They have the second easiest running back strength of schedule this season. Dude's going to eat. Dude is going to eat. It's going to be a blast. It's going to be a lot of fun. You think about, the prime of Dalvin Cook. Go back with me. The prime of Dalvin Cook with Kirk Cousins in that Vikings offense. How exciting that was to watch. How much fun that was to be a Dalvin Cook owner in that time period. Bijan's going to be even better. It's going to be a blast. He's going to be game wrecker, a league winner, a week winner. Your opponent's going to tremble when they see Bijan Robinson in your lineup going into the week. It's going to be a lot of fun with Bijan. So he's my RB3 this season.
He is also in my top 3. I'll leave it there.
I'm
not
relieved.
going to have much more to say when I get to him,
Fair.
but buy right back in. Buy right back in on Bijan. Love it.
Absolutely.
My running back 3. You have yet to say him, so I'm under the assumption that he is top 2, and that is Breece Hall. And he did as great as we wanted him to be, and we were concerned coming off of the ACL tear. We're concerned about just kind of a little bit of a knee injury that came up again in the offseason, and then started to see okay results the first few weeks. And then Robert Saleh announced, hey, we had him on a leash to make sure he was healthy. And then, vroom, and he was gone. And he was amazing. And even with Rodgers, without Rodgers, because you know the backup is for the Jets, it's Tyrod Taylor. So I'm feeling pretty okay with whoever the quarterback is. Breece Hall is being heavily targeted in the passing game, which is awesome, because Mike Williams is still trying to get healthy enough for week 1. Malachi Corley, as much as I love the guy, is not part of this offense just yet. Breece Hall is the clear number 2. I understand if someone wants to take him over Bijan. I'll put it that way. So I got him as RB3.
All right. Fair enough. Your assessment's correct. I have him as my RB2. My RB2 for the 2024 season is Breece Hall. 1 spot higher than you, Wes. I'm very, very high, and he was almost my RB1. He was almost my RB1. He really was. Here's the thing. He was the RB2 last season with a cocktail of garbage at the quarterback and offensive line positions. Here's how bad this Jets team was. Breece Hall had 1 carry inside the 5-yard line last year. And it made up, for 33% of the running back carries inside the 5-yard line for the team. They had 3 rush attempts inside the 5-yard line last season. That is how mother effing bad this Jets team was last year. 3 carries inside the 5-yard line for the entire team. And he had 1 of them. Guess what? He scored. Shocker. He scored on that carry. Congratulations. To give in perspective, Christian McCaffrey had 18 carries inside the 5-yard line, scored 9 touchdowns inside the 5. There you go. There, that one for you.
Oh, so he's worse than Breece Hall. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, dude. What's the ratio? What's the ratio?
Yeah.
100% versus 50%. Get over it, bro. Come
Garbage.
on, cope. Grow up. Ready for this one too? 1 target inside the 5-yard line. That was it. Like, this Jets team sucked, dude. This Jets team was so bad. Guess what? Scored on that target, by the way. Caught the ball, scored a touchdown. Even if Rodgers has lost a step, the offense will 100% improve, giving more opportunities to Breece Hall. It was really, really close to being my RB1. I really, really like Breece Hall this year, and I hope I'm in a position to be able to draft him, because he's going to be a lot of fun to have on your teams. And it's exciting to watch him and fun to have him on your team. So Breece Hall is my RB2.
That's a pretty great stats, because amidst all that, 1 carry and 1 target in the red zone within the 5-yard line the entire season,
crazy?
And he still was top 3. That's awesome. Yeah. His upside can be RB1. I have no problem if someone wants to say, I'd rather have Breece Hall because I know the PPR value over Bijan. I totally get it. Which leads me to number 2 is Bijan Robinson. He's the only guy that I think really has that rushing upside to be 1,500, 1,600 rushing yards. We'll see just how involved he is in the passing game. He's the next LaDainian Tomlinson. I will not stop saying that. I love him. I think kids should have posters of him in their room.
Dude, I forgot you called that. Like, before the draft last year. We're going over the rookie prospects, and you're like, he is the closest thing to LaDainian Tomlinson that I've seen since. I
had a poster of LaDainian Tomlinson when I was a kid. I think kids should have posters of Bijan Robinson. I think he will take over Atlanta and be the franchise guy. I love him. I'm going to draft him. Spoiler alert. Because I actually do have the first pick overall in the draft. Noah and I have. Spoiler alert. I'm taking Bijan. I'm taking Bijan 101.
I don't know what minute marker we're at on this recording, but if our league mates are real homies and real friends, a little intel for you guys to have some knowledge.
If they're real
there
friends,
on
if you actually care about us,
if you guys care to support our endeavors,
if you actually care about the show, text Noah Piglet, and we'll see if you actually listen to the episode. How about that? Huh?
Yeah.
No one texts because no one comments either. No one wants to win free merch.
Yeah, no one wins merch. Grow up. All right, we made it. RB1. I'm excited to talk about him. I understand the risks. I understand the outlook. I understand everything. I can't not have CMC as my top running back. Scored like 100 more points than the RB2 last season. He's just in the perfect situation with Shanahan, great offense, signed an extension this offseason, locked up some more money as he does get a year older. I get it. I hope and pray and believe that Trent Williams will be back because I think Kyle Shanahan knows the importance of that guy to this offense. And I sure hope he does. He's been a top 3 running back each of his last 4 healthy seasons. He has not been outside the top 3 when he remains healthy. When he's healthy, he's been the RB1 40% of his career. He's had 5 healthy seasons. He's been the RB1 twice in 5 years, and he's been a top 3 running back the other 2 times. And then just what a guy! Oh man, his worst year he's ever had, his rookie season, 14.3 points per game. What would have been the RB16 last year, and the worst he's ever performed completely healthy in his career, the worst he's ever been, the freshest he's ever been to the NFL. It would have been the RB16 last season at that rate. I just can't not have McCaffrey as my top running back. Personally, I've come to grips with when we got the draft order announced, Wes, and you had the 101 and I had the 102, I was hyped to get Bijan on my team, to be able to get that guy in this offense. He's a fun guy to root for. And you're like, hey, because you care about me, you were like, just a heads up, I'm going to take Bijan. And I was like, damn it. I was like, no, like it was just heartbreaker. But because the calf is worrisome. I get it. I can't try and project the injuries. I can't do it. And how they'll affect things. It's not negligence. It's just with a guy like CMC, happy to be able to get him there, especially at the 102 in our leagues. So, he is my RB1 for the 2024 season. Maybe to not anyone's surprise.
Yeah, and I also forgot to mention that one of the things that Kyle Shanahan said is that they actually want to lighten McCaffrey's workload. And so that will be one of 2, that'll result in 2 ways. 1, fewer points. Or 2, ensuring his health, and he's going to be RB1 again. That's just kind of the idea. They're actually trying to get the ball into different running backs' hands in order to preserve McCaffrey because they know they're a playoff team. So hopefully he won't miss that many games if he does miss any at all. But I know that they're very conscious of it with everything that has been stated.
Valid concern, for sure. He might drop from his over 24 points per game to 21. Oh man. Anyway, load it up, lock it down. Let's go.
RB1. I'll tell you, the entire offseason I had Bijan. Bijan was number 1. From June, the moment I decided to put together my gut reactions, until a week ago. And he's the only guy that ever threatened to be RB1. Not because I have any doubts about Bijan, but because I became very scared of how good this guy is. And you've mentioned him. He's your RB5. And I don't know how many points he will score because I don't know if there's a way to predict it. I have Devon Achane as RB1. We know it's possible. We know it's possible. There are a lot of reasons we all want to draft him. Everyone's excited. I don't have to go into it. You already went into it. But someone might be saying, okay, Noah made a really good point, really good case. But I'm still not sure about top 10. And Wes, I've got 3 reasons that I'm not going to draft Devon Achane. And I say, tell me what they are, because I'll debunk them right now. You say, well, first things first. I mean, he's injury prone, right? That's why, we didn't get the full season with him. No, he's not injury prone. He got injured. He got hurt. He had an MCL sprain. He missed time. And when he came back, he's perfectly healthy. And then he hasn't had anything come up in the offseason. Meanwhile, we have all these running backs in the first round that have had injuries and are injury prone, and we're still taking them. So he's not any more of a risk than any of these guys in the first round. You talk about McCaffrey, that we just went into detail about. Saquon Barkley's long injury history. Jonathan Taylor has missed time as well. And there's Kyren Williams said ankle sprain on the same foot twice. It's not more of a risk with Achane than any of these other guys, okay? Breece Hall also missed his rookie season, half of it with an ACL tear. So everybody has the same risk. You say, okay, maybe that's the same. Maybe that's true. Maybe the injury risk isn't more, but I mean, Noah tried to make a case, but like, is he really going to be the starter? Because that's what I got with the other guys. These guys are the starters. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. Noah already talked about these stats, and I'm going to go even deeper and let you know that Achane had 130 touches the entire season. The entire season. 46 running backs had more carries. 40 running backs had more or as many receptions. He was still top 25. Still top 25. He played 11 games and 130 touches. What? That is insane. That is insane. Obviously, Mostert isn't just going to the back, but you understand that kind of volume is insane. And you say, well, I mean, they're not going to put Mostert completely out of there, right? It's going to be split backfield. Okay, even if it is, guess what? Achane saw 51% of the offensive snaps for the Dolphins. And he did that. 5th in points per game with 51% of the snaps. You know what he saw against the Broncos that Noah already talked about with the first 12 touches? 41% snap count. And he still put up 50-plus points. You get the picture. You get the idea of what his ceiling is. There's no ceiling. You say, okay. You make good points. The two of you have done well. Top 5. I'm seeing it, but Wes, you're out of your mind. Are you sure you're going to go ahead and say he's RB1? What reason is there to say he's RB1? Because Tyreek Hill is the reason he can't be number 1. So, one, I mean, Raheem Mostert was top 4 in all kinds of formats. So, like, let's not pretend that it can't be on the same team. But let's talk about what training camp has looked like for the Dolphins. Tua is throwing a hell of a lot to Achane. He is targeting him a lot. More than Jalen Waddle truthers want to accept. And I'm one of them. And I'm not saying that Achane is number 2, but he's a really close number 3. That's the way this is going. And I'll finish with this. Just a couple days ago, Dolphins ran a 2-minute drill just to practice. Tua led a 65-yard game-winning drive that ended with a Devon Achane touchdown. Receiving touchdown. His 5th catch of the drive. 5 catches and 65 yards for a touchdown. That's one drive. You get it. The only concern you should have is not drafting Achane. That's the only risk. And no matter where you are in the second round, he has to be your second round pick. Even if you're first in the second round, take him, because you're going to miss out on someone who could very well be the highest scoring skill player in fantasy. And you all know it. Achane is my number 1.
Grow up. Grow up. Devon Achane is a top 5. He's 1. Yeah, he just, while you were speaking, Wes, he jumped above Jahmyr Gibbs in my ranking. So he's now at RB4. So just so that. Yeah, so it's just too good of a case. Listen. Boom, done. That's it. That's all the positional rankings for 2024 done and dusted. Thank you guys for hanging out, having fun with us. Drop in the comments what you think of our lists. Did we miss anybody? You'll notice Travis Etienne, nowhere to be seen. Neither of us are really in on him. We're calling the regression big old this season. So not going to be a fun time for him. Don't draft him. Let us know what you guys think. Hang out with us. Go to check everything in the description. We got stuff going on. Follow us on all our socials. We're always putting out fire content for you guys. It's going to be a blast. Catch us next week for our final mock draft episode. And then we will be doing a week 1 preview. It's going to be a blast. My name is Noah Selby.
I'm Wes Selby.
And this has been 4th and Troll Fantasy. 4th and Troll Fantasy is a production of FQ Media Group and Selby Artistic Workshop.